I'm so good, Ava. How are you?
I'm so good, and I'm so excited to talk to you because I live in San Diego.
Oh my
And
God.
yes, my dad went to UCSD. I grew up going to plays at La Jolla Playhouse. I don't know if you did anything there,
Yes,
but
that's amazing.
yeah, so I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to make sure to talk about this and how how closely connected I am just to this piece of work from Disney Plus because you are a actor that I possibly have seen before and other things. It's
Yes,
so
it's
cool."
so true. And that it takes place in San Diego.
Yes, I mean, what better
Ah,
place is there to have something take place? San
I
Diego's the
know.
best. And this role is literally the most meta you could get because obviously you're a professor in real life and then you're a teacher on this show. So, I'm wondering, is there anything specific that you've taught in your classes at UCSD that you're like, wow, that's a really good tip for even me, an experienced actor, that I want to make sure to incorporate while I'm filming this show.
Yeah, that's such a great question, Ava. I did, there's really two things I think a teacher who does research like this has to do. And this is
Mhm.
for anyone who teaches at UCSD. We all have to do research in our field, at the highest levels. Is yes, we have to, which means we have to go into our industry and our field and do professional development. But it's also what we bring back to the classroom is so important. And I remember there was a specific party scene that we were shooting on Big Shot, and there were marks on the ground, which is the pieces of tape they put on the ground for all the actors, and it looked like a jigsaw puzzle. I mean, there were so many people and so many, and you have your own color tape, so everybody, my students, because this is, I can't recreate this in the classroom. Does that make sense? And so I was
Yes.
like, yeah, so I was like, oh, I'll take a picture of this and share it. And then it was a week later, and then I was able to show them and go, hey, look, this is from this set. And so then they got to learn, well, how do you use a mark? How do you work on those marks? And then I was able to show them.
Oh,
That
that's
sort
so
of give and
cool.
take is so cool.
Yeah, it basically goes both ways, which
Yes,
is
exactly. It should.
all.
If you're doing it right, I think it should.
So they knew. How did you announce to your students, like, "Hey, I'm gonna be filming with John Stamos and Yvette Nicole Brown. Like, no big deal. I'll be back." Like, how did that go?
Well, they're thrilled, obviously, and they were thrilled for me, which is really nice. And one of the things, it's also one of the reasons they came to this school. I mean, for the acting area, I mean, I think the fact that I'm a professor who also works is
Hmm.
a big draw, and it helps the recruitment of some of the top talent in the world. I mean, we have an international group of students in our program, and we're consistently ranked in the top 5 in the world, in the English speaking world. So I think that has a lot to do with the fact that on Tuesday I might be teaching the class, and on Wednesday I'm at a table read at Paramount with and Disney and
Yeah.
whatever. Do you know? I mean, that's a big draw for them, and
Hmm.
it allows me to teach too at a high level. I feel like I'm able to share with them some very current industry practices, and so UCSD benefits from that too because it means their
Yeah.
students are getting the most current information.
Exactly. And it's so cool because maybe this is just because my dad went there for science and a lot of my friends went there for science. Like that's kind of what
Yes.
CSD is known for. So to be honest, like I was a bit surprised when I found out like how world renowned the
Yeah,
acting program is. So that's so cool.
it is. And I treat it like science. And, when I'm teaching the actors, I talk in scientific terms where I go, listen, I'm the lead researcher in this classroom.
Oh, I
And
love
I
that.
go, and you're the researcher. So let's do research on acting in the 21st century. And so we're asking big questions. And so just like the scientists at UCSD, it's important that they go out into the field to do study. That's really how I consider going to Disney. It's going out into the field and do study, and then I bring back research that I've learned.
I never thought of it like that. My mind is blown. That's such a great analogy, metaphor. I don't know. I haven't
Yeah.
taken English class in a long time. I think it's an analogy though. I
Yes.
think.
Yeah.
um and yeah, filming this show. When was it filmed actually? I meant to ask that.
Well, we started before the pandemic,
Okay.
and then we had a long break in the middle of the pandemic, obviously. And then Disney was so excited about the show that instead of canceling the show or stopping it or saying, okay, we have enough episodes, they really kept us all and said, stick with us, stay with the show. And so then we finished it out.
Okay, very cool. I was asking because obviously with the pandemic, things are a bit harder to film. I mean, now things are opening up a bit. So this project was, I guess, filmed initially over a year ago. So
Yeah,
that's
before the pandemic. And
yeah.
so that was great though, Ava, because we were able to get to know each other and
Hmm.
be really personable. And there was handshakes and hugs and high fives and patting each other's backs. And then suddenly that all had to stop, obviously. But I'm
Yeah.
so glad that we didn't start it during COVID because I think some of those relationships I would have missed, not having those kind of fun relationships.
Yeah, for sure. Especially because, I keep going back to this John Stamos and Yvette Nicole Brown. Like I'm sure most, if not all of your students have seen them either in
Yeah.
Full House. Yvette Nicole Brown was in like a Drake and Josh, iCarly, and obviously
Yes.
those other things. So
And
um
she was just in Lady and the Tramp, the
that's
for
right.
Disney Plus.
For
So
Disney.
my kids are like, oh my God, Yvette Nicole Brown. And she also did the Big Fib for Disney Plus, which my kids loved too. So Yvette Nicole Brown is the star in my house.
Oh, that's so cool. Now I have to ask, have you ever had like any like I guess fangirls, or I mean they could be boys too, come up to you and be like, hey, next time you see John Stamos, can you give me an
Yes.
autograph? Or do they know
I,
like that's off limits?
they know not to do that to me. But I will say that it's a good question because I will say there are certain students that when I mention, I do have to name drop sometimes because that's teaching. So
Yes.
I have to go, I was working with John. And so then I do have one student who will always go, Stamos.
Oh, that's so
Like,
funny.
because he's such a big fan. So I'm gonna try to work out a chance for once the show opens and our schedules open up a little bit to have John come to campus to talk to the students and things like that.
Oh, that would be amazing. Just
Yeah.
make sure no one else like beside your class knows, or you will get like a
Yeah,
mob
they'll
of
be
people.
swamped. Yes.
Yes, because everyone loves him, including
I
me. So
know. I know. We love him. We love him. He's so good.
that's awesome. And Disney Plus is, I guess, fairly new. I think it came out, yeah, November 2019. Of course, I know that because I got the 3-year subscription for a discount because I'm
Me
like,
too.
you too, I love it. So I'm wondering, obviously Disney Plus is different than Disney Channel or even, like cable network TV. So this is just, I guess, an insider question I've always wondered. Does the fact that it is on a streaming service affect anything behind the scenes as far as like how you shoot, like anything of that nature?
It does. I think that's a really good question. I find that with the streaming service, we have a little more leeway in terms of, for instance, when the show is going to be released, the timing. Obviously, we don't have to time the show around commercials. So, like a
Hmm.
Disney Channel show would have to be timed in a certain way around commercials. So, when you read the script, you can see sort of when the commercial would happen.
Yeah.
Whereas we don't have to do that. We can have a full hour long show. And if this were on the Disney Channel, it would really probably be like 40 minutes
Hmm.
because there would be 20 minutes of commercials or something like that. So
Oh,
we
wow.
get a real full hour with these characters, and it's uninterrupted.
So the episodes are an hour each.
Yes, they're about an hour each.
Oh, that's amazing. Especially
Yes,
because, most I guess sitcoms from
yes.
Disney Channel are the 23-minute ones. So, oh, that's amazing.
You'll love this because this is a real sort of dramedy. I mean, you get to get really invested in the storylines. It looks like you'll go, I mean, ABC is also producing this. I mean, it looks like a show on ABC. I mean, the quality of the show is so high.
Yeah, I mean, even from like the still press shots, I'm like, wow, what camera are they using?
Yes.
Like, obviously, you have to look professional, but I was like even more blown away. I thought it was, yeah, the quality is amazing, and I'm so happy to know that they're an hour because I feel like a lot of Disney Plus shows, it's kind of episodic, which is fine. Like
Yeah.
I watch Sweet Life on Deck and I just choose a random episode. Does
Yes.
not matter the order, but I think this is more it's not episodic. It's gonna carry us through the entire way, which is
Yeah, it
amazing.
will. You'll wait for the next week to see what happens. And
Mhm.
there's so many great characters. There's not just 3 or 4 characters. I mean, there's 10 main characters. And so you're gonna follow all of their stories and how their stories connect. And it's one of those kind of shows that you could watch for years.
Yeah, and everyone I'm sure will be connected to a character in some way.
Mhm.
Was there any character that you identified with more so than your own?
Oh gosh. I mean, I guess Yvette's character, who plays the principal,
Mhm.
Yvette Nicole Brown's character, I really connect with because obviously I've been I would have been the head of these big theater programs. And so sometimes you're sort of quote unquote the principal,
Yeah.
and you have to make decisions that not everyone understands at the same time. And sometimes you have administrative pressure, you have faculty pressure, and then you have student pressure, and then you have parent pressure. So
Mhm.
all of those constituents have different needs. And so you can't please all of them all of the time.
Yes. Yes. And that's something I feel like even with if you're deciding if you want to take a acting job, but it doesn't align with your values or something, like to say
Absolutely.
no,
I
that
do.
would be like the scariest thing.
And also, I mean, there are acting jobs that I say no to just because of the timing, where I go, oh, that's bad
Mhm.
timing. I mean, one of the great things about the show is that it didn't interrupt my teaching at all.
Yes.
And so that's why I was able to take it. And then it also adds to the level of research I can do.
Yeah, and I'm sure your students are so excited to see it. Are you gonna do like a virtual like Zoom
Oh,
premiere
we
with
should.
them?
That's a great idea. I
Oh,
bet
I'm
they
sure
want me
they'll
to.
love
That's a
it.
great idea. Yeah.
Yes, I don't know how many. Well, I'm sure. Are you teaching in person again at
We're
UCSD?
not. We've just begun to start teaching in these tents, and because I teach in San Diego, as you know, in San Diego, the weather is pretty great usually, and so we've only had a few classes I've canceled because of rain, and then
Mhm.
what we did was I just did those classes on Zoom.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was gonna say like you could do a virtual premiere party with like all the students.
Yes,
Although,
I
are you
love
in
that
a lecture
idea.
hall?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be fun. Or maybe in person if there's a way to do it safely. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming now because
Yeah,
I.
but yeah, you make a good student.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I acted, but when I was much younger. So, well, thank you so much for your interview. It was so great to talk to you on this mostly lovely Tuesday morning.
Yes, it
Currently
is.
in North County and it's a bit dry, but other than that, it's pretty nice. So,
You're so great, and it was so nice to do this, especially with you from San Diego. And
oh,
thanks
yeah,
so much for the support.
of course. Do you just want to really quickly just tell everyone, make sure to go check it out, and then if you have any social media you want to recap as well.
Sure. Um, Big Shot is on Friday, April 16th on Disney Plus, and you can also follow us at Big Shot Series on Instagram or at Richard_Robichaux on Instagram.
Perfect. Oh, thank you so much. It was so great to talk to you and congratulations.
Okay, good. Thank you. Bye bye.
Of course. Bye.